Welcome to Train Sim World, an immersive and highly detailed rail simulation featuring authentic routes and trains from around the world. This is the Training Center. Here you can learn about how to navigate and interact with the world, as well as how to operate the many trains. Let's start by looking around. Find each of the markers and look at them. Your current objective is shown at the top left of the screen. Walk to the blue marker to complete the current objective. You've been awarded some action points. These are displayed in the top right corner of the screen and count towards your overall experience level for the game. This is one of the many types of route tasks to be discovered. Keep an eye out for many more types and styles of route tasks, which can involve placing, collecting, or fixing a variety of things. Head into the main building, and you'll continue your induction there. You can pause Train Sim World at any point to review objectives and a lot of other information about what's happening at the moment. Try it now, and then return to the game after you've had a look around. Now that we've covered some of the basics of moving around and interacting with the environment, let's take a walk through the building and find the trains. This is Central Square. From here, you can explore the main training center depot and surrounding yards. Your journey operating trains is just getting started here in the training center. Remember, this module will cover the on-screen overlay, known as the heads-up display or HUD, that is shown when you are in control of a train. Climb up the ladder into the locomotive and then sit in the seat. Welcome to the most important seat in the train. While sitting here, you'll be in full control. Before you think about moving the train, though, let's look at the HUD overlay that's appeared on the bottom right. The heads-up display is a guide to what your train is doing. The main part of the HUD is the speed display. A white bar will appear around the outside to show your current speed, and the red mark indicates your maximum permitted speed. This is the direction display. An arrow will indicate forward, reverse, and neutral directions. This is the power display. A number will indicate what position the power or throttle control is in. These are the brake indicators. The exact ones shown will vary by train and will often be visible in the train itself on various gauges. They tell you what's happening in the braking system. The most important one is the BC or brake cylinder. If that's reading 0, then your brakes are released. Anything else, and brakes are applied and you won't be able to move. Every train can have small variations in the HUD unique to the way it works, but they will mostly look the same. As you learn to control new trains, study the HUD and learn how it helps you operate it. If you want to see this again, you can rerun this training module at any time. In this training module, you're going to look at making the train move and then bringing it to a stop again. While many trains have different controls and are operated in different ways, there are basically always 3 controls that are common and are required to move the train. The reverser sets the direction between forwards and backwards. The brakes are used to slow or stop the train. The throttle controls how fast the train accelerates. We want to move the train forwards, so move the reverser in that direction. Keep the brake control in release until you can see the brake pipe control needles are reading 5 bar, pointing upwards. This will release the brakes fully. Watch the brake cylinder, or BC gauge, to see it gradually reduce to 0, which tells you that the brakes are now fully released and you can move the train. Apply some throttle to get the train moving. As you apply power, notice the amp bar rising. This is the amount of power being fed into the traction motors. Now that you've reached your target speed, you can move the throttle control back to 0. The train will then coast on level ground, and the train will only slow down very gradually. While the specifics of operating brakes vary from train to train, the basic process of stopping is fundamentally the same. Bring this train to a complete stop by holding the brake control in the apply state until you see the brake pipe control needle in the center of your cab desk showing about 4 bar. The amount of braking you'll need to apply also varies depending on whether you're going uphill. That concludes this module. Restart the module to learn the steps again, or move on to the next module. This module will go over the fundamentals of operating junctions to change the path your train will take, and how to navigate using the map. Most rail lines around the world are controlled remotely by a signaling center or dispatcher. From the perspective of the train, the direction taken is automatic. But within yards and depots, many small and frequent movements are required. This makes remote control of the track impractical. In these locations, the direction taken is manually controlled. You can set junctions by either walking up to them and interacting with them, or going to the 2D map and changing them from there. Let's change this junction by hand first. Walk over to it and change it by operating the lever. Notice how the point blades move on the track. Try moving it a few more times until you can see how it works. Let's head over to the train, and then we can look at the map. Your junctions are set correctly. Let's get the train moving and see it all working. If you can't remember how to make the train start and stop, there is a training module you can rerun to remind yourself. Keep the brake control and release until you can see the brake pipe control needles are reading 5 bar, pointing upwards. This will release the brakes fully. Watch the brake cylinder, or BC gauge, to see it gradually reduce to 0, which tells you that the brakes are now fully released. Apply some throttle to get the train moving. Now that you've reached your target speed, you can move the throttle control back to 0. The train will then coast on level ground, and the train will only slow down very gradually. Bring this train to a complete stop by holding the brake control in the apply state until you see the brake pipe control needle in the center of your cab desk showing about 4 bar. That concludes this module. All the junctions in the training center are manual, so you can go anywhere you wish using the map and by changing junctions manually. If you want to practice, go to Explore on Foot in the training center. You'll find trains dotted around, and you can practice driving them and moving them around the yard. Don't forget, you can always rerun this training module later if you can't remember any of what's been covered.
In this training module, you will be taken through the operation of this Class 66 locomotive. During this brief introduction, you will be covering the critical driving controls and freight operations. When you're ready, climb aboard to get started. You need to insert the reverser first, and then you can move it forwards to set the direction of travel. Set the headlights to let others around us know this train is operational. The direct brake has 3 positions: apply, hold, and release. They're directly affecting the brake cylinder pressure, shown on the left-hand side of the desk or on your HUD under the BC entry. While in the apply state, the brake cylinder or BC gauge will fill, meaning more and more brakes are being applied. Move the handle to the hold position to maintain the same level of braking, and back to the release position to reduce or completely release the brakes. The direct brake is used to apply the brakes only on your locomotive and are faster to apply and release than the main brakes. If you're only running as a light locomotive, as you are now, it's usually quicker to just use these brakes. Now that the brake pipe control is at 5 bar, the brakes will fully release. Watch the brake cylinder or BC gauge to see it gradually reduce to 0, which tells you that the brakes are now fully released and you can move the train. As you apply power, notice the amp bar rising. This is the amount of power being fed into the traction motors. But try to keep this out of the red, as it means you're overpowering the motors and could damage them. Coasting is a method used to efficiently... Built in London, Ontario, Canada by EMD, the British Rail Class 66 is a 6-axle diesel-electric locomotive, used primarily for freight operations in the UK. Introduced in 1998, the initial order of 250 locomotives was said to be the biggest single order of a locomotive since the era of steam trains. More than 500 Class 66 locomotives were built, with the final one being delivered in 2016. The Class 66 has earned the nickname Shed because of its shed-like pitched roof. Okay, come to a stop using the direct brake now. The freight wagons are behind us, so change direction with the reverser, then change the junction indicated, either by walking over to it or using the map. The junction is correctly aligned, so you can now couple up to the freight. Approach slowly and stop just before the buffers. Don't forget to release the direct brake before you apply power. You can couple and uncouple from either an external camera or on foot. So let's connect the formation using the external camera. Access the external camera. Now couple the locomotive to the freight wagons. Return to the first-person camera. Nice work! Change direction with the reverser and move the train forward into the indicated siding. Remember, you can couple and uncouple from either an external camera or on foot. So let's uncouple from the wagons on foot this time. That concludes this training module.
Welcome to Würzburg Hauptbahnhof, located in Bavaria, Germany. This region is renowned for its mountains, forests, lakes, and many ornate castles. There's a missing route map over there. Let's fix it while you're here. There are more tasks to discover. Be sure to apply missing route maps, restock first aid points, bag up gravel, and update tunnel length signs. Ah, your train has arrived. So let's climb aboard. This route runs for over 185 kilometers between the cities of Kassel and Würzburg on the Hanover to Würzburg High-Speed Railway, Germany's first high-speed railway line. Construction on the Hanover to Würzburg line started in 1973 and was opened fully in 1991 at an estimated cost of over 20 million euros per kilometer. A big challenge to the construction of this route was the 50 tunnels and 31 viaducts needed on this 185-kilometer stretch between Kassel and Würzburg. This train was the first intercity express train, known as the ICE-1. It consists of two Class 401 power cars at either end and up to 14 intermediate cars. Built by Siemens between 1989 and 1993, the ICE-1 was Germany's first batch-produced high-speed train and is capable of operational speeds of 280 kilometers per hour. On this route, you will be able to drive the ICE-1 and its more modern successor, the ICE-3, as well as hauling freight in the BR-185.2 locomotive. Experience the thrill of racing through dense, forested valleys, flying over awe-inspiring viaducts, and diving into swooping tunnels. This is Train Sim World. Schnellfahrstrecke Kassel-Würzburg. In this training module, you will be learning to drive this BR-403 ICE-3, also known as the Intercity Express 3. You will be driving the train a short distance and performing passenger operations. When you're ready to begin, climb aboard. Take a seat in the driver's seat. Firstly, you will need to set the reverser. This
Steuerung, Steuerung. Schließvorgang eingeleitet. Zugbeeinflussung.
set the headlights to let others around you know this train is operational. Open the passenger doors to allow boarding. Use the door control switch and set the doors to open.
Türen geöffnet.
Close the doors before departure. The train is now ready to depart. Release the brakes and apply some power to get moving. You'll be doing one circuit of the training center and aim to come to a stop back at this station again afterwards. Coasting is a method used to efficiently maintain speed and reduce motor stress and maintenance requirements. Keeping to speed limits is important. If you begin overspeeding, apply a small amount of braking force using the train brake. This high-speed electrical multiple unit is manufactured by Siemens and is operated in Germany by Deutsche Bahn. These are the third generation of Intercity Express trains and have been in operation in Germany since the year 2000. The ICE-3 runs at speeds of up to 300 kilometers per hour in Germany, although they've reached speeds of 368 kilometers per hour in testing. Rather than having a power car like the ICE 1 and 2, the ICE 3 has underfloor motors throughout. This means passengers can be seated in the entire length of the train. Begin to slow down as you approach the upcoming station.
Störung. Notbremsung.
Nice work. Open the doors again to start boarding.
Türen geöffnet.
Good work! That concludes all the basics of operating this train. In this training module, you will be taken through the operation of a BR185.2 electric locomotive. During this brief introduction, you will cover the critical driving controls and freight operations. When you are ready, climb aboard to get started. Take a seat in the driver's position. For this introduction, you will be driving the locomotive a short distance and coupling to a short freight train. Firstly, you will need to set the reverser. This controls the direction of travel and activates the cab. Set the headlights to let others around you know this train is operational. There are three types of brakes that are used on this locomotive: the direct brake, train brake, and electric brake. The direct brake applies air brakes on just the locomotive and not the wagons. This is used usually within yards or shunting operations. Until you get more familiar with the locomotive, you can ignore this control. The train brake applies air brakes on the locomotive and the wagons together. Under most circumstances, you will slow the train using this control. The electric brake uses traction motors to slow the train down without using the air brakes. You can use this to provide additional braking, such as when you need to manage your speed going down a steep gradient. The locomotive is now ready to go. Release the train brake and use the throttle to apply some power to get moving. Coasting is a method used to efficiently maintain speed and reduce motor stress and maintenance requirements. Keeping to speed limits is important. If you begin overspeeding, apply a small amount of braking force using the train brake. This train is part of the Bombardier Trax family, a modular platform of diesel and electric locomotives that come in both passenger and freight variations. More than 1,800 locomotives of this family have been sold throughout Europe and are now in use in 17 different countries. The BR185.2, part of the Trax 2 family, is known for the noticeable scale it plays when accelerating from 0 to 16 kilometers per hour. This locomotive can produce 5,600 kilowatts, that's 7,500 horsepower, and has a maximum operational speed of 140 kilometers per hour.
Störung, Störung. Störung.
The freight wagons are behind you. Change direction with the reverser, then change the junction indicated, either by walking over to it or using the map. The junction is correctly aligned, and you can now couple up to the freight. Come to a stop once your locomotive gently touches the wagons. As you reverse, you may find it helpful to use the external camera view to help see behind you. You can couple and uncouple from either an external camera or on foot. Let's connect the formation using the external camera. Now couple the locomotive to the freight. Nice work! Change direction with the reverser and move the train forward into the indicated siding. It may take a couple of minutes for the brakes on the entire train to release. You can couple and uncouple from either an external camera or on foot. Uncouple from the wagons on foot this time. That's it for this training module.
Kühlfreigabe. Störung. Kühlfreigabe. Kühlfreigabe. Kühlfreigabe.